Welcome to the Cotton Club Radio. I'm your host, Cotton Club. Today's conversation is going to be about, I want to pose the question to the Brits, to the British. Is acting Black American a $1 million industry, family? To the British, is acting Black American a $1 million industry? Well, people might say, well, Cotton Club, why are you saying that? I'll tell you this. We all saw the Drewski skit. It was brilliant. It was a skit that depicted what you and I have known for a long time, what we've been talking about for a long time, as far as the British, what they call themselves, the Black Brits. I don't call them that because they only started calling themselves Black Brits because of us, because Black Americans. If Black Americans weren't calling ourselves Black Americans, they wouldn't be calling themselves Black Brits. So I just call them Brits because most of them, I'm going to keep it funky with you, most of them are Africans or Caribbeans, and they see themselves as dark-skinned British people. They don't even represent their real, African cultures and Caribbean cultures like that. They'll try to throw it in there when they need to, but when they come dealing with Black Americans, they like to do that British thing. Talk that accent and bring that arrogance to the table. So when we're talking about these British actors that Drewski so eloquently showed in his skit, what did he show, family? He showed how many British people will come over here, take Black American movie roles while acting and playing dumb like they don't know they taking Black American movie roles. And when Black Americans speak up and say, hold on, we got actors here that can play that role better, what do they say? I mean, we all Black. What's the problem? I'm Black, you're Black, what's the problem? I'll give you a few problems, to be honest with you, family. Can we talk about the problems? I started hearing about the people who claim to be Black Brits about a few years ago, maybe about 5 years ago. They started to come to prominence on social media and TikTok. And the prominence that they, came to was talking crazy about Black Americans. I mean, these people would say some of the most ignorant stuff about Black Americans. Shout out to Adonis, if any of y'all know who Adonis is. Adonis is a brother who's Black American, who was in London for a while. And while he was in London, he would interview British Black people. And in these interviews, he would ask them about Black Americans and what they thought about Black Americans. And to me, I thought it was an opportunity for British Blacks to really get a level of understanding of Black American people. But what came about of Adonis doing these interviews, family, was it showed the ignorance and the disgust that Black British people have for Black Americans. I mean, the things that they would say, family, they would say Black Americans don't have a culture. Black Americans don't know who we are. Black Americans, they didn't, when Adonis would ask, well, what do you think? Who's smarter? They would say they are. They would say Black Americans are dumb, etc. But I find that very weird, family, because when it comes to a Black American movie role, these people don't waste a chance to cross seas and get their behinds over here and find a Black American icon to play. What the hell? What a dichotomy. They think of our culture in the lowest way. But yet, when it's time to collect some bills, some money, to play one of our icons or play just a regular Black dude, on the streets, selling drugs, Idris Elba, they just can't wait to get that opportunity. But if you hear these people talk about Black Americans, you would think that they thought about Black Americans like being the scum on their shoe or something like that. I mean, they just think we're just these obsolete individuals. So when Drewski showed his skit of how they'll play us and go right back into their British accent and act like playing us is this nuanced type of skill set that no man can possess. Yet here we are, Black Americans. We ain't acting it. We just are who the hell we are. We ain't trying to be and play. We not trying to play nobody else. But you have people, Daniel Kaluuya, who come here, play our icons like Fred Hampton. And then when Daniel Kaluuya is asked about Black American issues, he don't have nothing to say. I find that problematic. I find that disgusting. And I find it very consistent with these people who consider themselves black Brits. All I'm saying, family, is some of these goddamn roles these British blacks are playing, none of them could have went to a black American? You telling me MLK, Martin Luther King, that was played by another British black person? You couldn't find no black American who could play MLK? Harriet Tubman, one of our great ancestors, played by a Nigerian woman by the name of the Cynthia Erivo character. Come to find out, she has all hate and disdain for black American people. What is going wrong in the mind of the black Brit that in one instance they can belittle the black American to be these cultureless minions who just do nothing but just be cultureless, but then they come over here and collect revenue to play our greats? Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Fred Hampton, all of the movies you've seen, 12 Years a Slave, all played by Brits. And I'm going to tell y'all something, family, y'all might not even know. Do you know that if you look up how much revenue Cynthia Erivo or Daniel Kaluuya or any of these people made playing our black icons, you can't find a number? They don't. See, one thing about YT Hollywood and a lot of these, see, they're in cahoots. YT Hollywood and a lot of these British Africans, they're in cahoots. Because if you look up how much Daniel Kaluuya made playing Fred Hampton, it's the number isn't there. But if you look up the number Daniel Kaluuya made playing Get Out, they'll give you a number. If you look up how much Cynthia Erivo made playing Harriet Tubman, they won't give you a number of revenue how much she made playing Harriet Tubman. But if you look up how much she made playing that, how much she made doing that witch movie, she made $15 million. Why are they trying to hide how much these British actors are making playing black American icons? Why don't they want to tell us? Why don't they want to tell you and me how much these people made culture vulturing off of our great ancestors? Our brother Fred Hampton, who was a soldier in those streets, who was a man who stood on principle, morality, and he was a man who wasn't afraid to speak his mind. He wanted black Americans' issues to be front and center. He was thinking of ways to do it. He started the Rainbow Coalition. He figured, well, if I could empathize with YT people and make poor YT people understand that black people, poor black people and YT people don't have that many differences outside of their skin complexions. That poor YT people, get defecated on just as much as poor black people. Fred Hampton wanted YT America to understand that. So he did that Rainbow Coalition, where he started going around and saying, here, you're YT, you're poor YT trash, and we're black, and you're Latino. There are commonalities. You get defecated on, I get defecated on. The powers that be don't really care about none of us. Fred Hampton was trying to make people understand that. And what happened to Fred Hampton? Fred Hampton was ambushed. Edgar Hoover put out paperwork on the Black Panthers and targeted Fred Hampton. And what happened to Fred? He was erased. Years later, an African Brit comes to America and plays Fred Hampton. What is going wrong here? But what's the bigger problem, family? Is the big problem really that they're coming over here and that British people are coming over here and playing black American jobs? Well, the bigger problem is they're taking money out the pockets of black Americans who could play black Americans. Can we keep it funky? Let's talk about that. Because if you have a black Brit who takes a black American's job, who could play a Fred Hampton? And let's just give a number. Let's say Daniel Kaluuya made $3 million from playing Fred Hampton. That's $3 million that could have went to a black American who probably would have did it better. I'm not taking anything away from Daniel Kaluuya. I think he did all right. But when spoke about black issues, he ain't have nothing to say. He was playing a role. You understand? But can we go a little deeper? What is the consequence of too many Brits coming and playing black American roles? And it's just too many. What bothers me the most is when you hear them speak about it. When you hear black Brits speak about it, how nonchalant they are, how dismissive they are. We're all black. What's the problem? We're all black. Well, there are a lot of problems. Let's just talk about a few. Let's talk about the ethnic erasure and the lack of cultural continuity that black Brits have with black Americans. How black Brits will say black Americans don't have a culture. How black Brits will say black Americans don't know where they come from. And when we tell black Brits, we know where the hell we come from. We come from here. They try to create a diabolical story about how they're the native people of Great Britain. Which is strange because many of them, their parents are Jamaican. Many of them, their parents, they're first gen Africans. They try to create some kind of story because they can't stand black Americans and because they don't really understand black American culture and they don't understand black American history, what they'll do is they'll try to create this idea that because black Americans are the foundation to America, they'll say, well, we're the foundation to Great Britain. And many of them are Nigerian. Many of these black Brits are not, they're first generation immigrants. Many of them are Nigerian, Ghanaian, a lot of Jamaicans over there. Many of them will claim to be from the Windrush era, but they're not. These are just first generation Jamaicans. And that's the problem that I have. When they come over here to play these black American roles, it's the lack of cultural continuity. I don't want people who dislike me and despise me to make millions and millions of dollars playing me. I just think it's weird. And what Drewski did well was it showed the disconnect. Drewski showed the disconnect where one of my favorite scenes that he did. Well, two of the scenes he did was phenomenal. I love the slave scene where he was acting out a dramatic scene, a brother and a sister on a plantation who were operating on trying to get away, trying to run away. And the brother was telling the sister, the sister was like, yo, we got to go. And the brother was like, I don't know. We got to choose our time. This might not be the right time. And then Shorty started going and then it acted just like that. They had to go. And then Drewski cut. And then the actor comes out and the YT man starts talking to the actor and the actor starts talking back in a British accent. And the YT man says, I need you to get more American. I need you to act like you're really on a plantation. These people don't know about plantations. These people are from Africa. Is this what we're doing here? The other scene where you had this stuff is crazy, family. It's crazy. Then you had another scene of when Drewski was depicting a character similar to like Idris Elba in The Wire. This guy, he's very over passionate, first of all, these actors overact black American. You know what I'm saying? But I understand the emotion. But he's acting in a scene where two brothers they're talking in a car and the situation is real hot and there's a lot of passion. And Drewski depicts these two characters. And then he cuts again. And then the dude goes back into the British accent. And the YT man tells him, I need you to believe you're on those streets. You're American. You need to speak. Right? This is what we're dealing with, man. We're dealing with botched imitations. People who feel that they don't have to respect us culturally, but if it's a paycheck, they can go collect it to play us. And family, I ain't with it. I can't stand it. So what are we dealing with here? What is the bigger picture of these Brits, these African Brits coming to America and playing black American roles? Not only are they taking money out of black Americans' pockets, not only are they lacking cultural continuity, but what is it ultimately pushing? When you have a woman like Cynthia Erivo who's openly disliked black Americans, who have called us cicadas, etc., and she's playing Harriet Tubman, one of our greats. What is this? What is this all about? Why are they doing this? Because we know that YT is always behind this. They're always trying to formulate some kind of plan to ethnic erase us. And what is this really pushing when you have prominent black Americans uh, and you have Africans being the face of prominent black Americans? And let's talk about that Martin Luther King movie. What I did not like, what's his name? David Aluowa, whatever his name was. I always thought that was weird, family. I'm going to keep it real with you. Because he didn't look like Martin Luther King. I just thought it was strange. Like, do any of y'all feel that way? Like, whenever you see these people, because we being black American, we know what these people look like. But it always bothers me some when you see a person who is clearly an African person playing a prominent black American person. It rubs me the wrong way. It's very awkward because they don't look like the person. And it makes you wonder, like, why is YT Hollywood going so far as to grab a person who don't even look like the person, who is clearly an African person, to play a black American? And it hit me, family. This is all about ethnic erasure. I'm going to keep it real with y'all, family. It's all about pushing flat black identity and Pan-Africanism, which is the kryptonite to black American survival. When you look at it, you look at that guy who played Martin Luther King, that African dude. He didn't sound like Martin Luther King. He was just an African dude in a suit. What really did you get out of the imagery? Was just an African man playing a black American man. But there was no cultural continuity there. He didn't possess the essence of Martin Luther King because he's not FBA. He's an African. You understand? And it makes you wonder what these Brits are actually talking about. You know, when they say black Americans don't have a culture, what are they really saying? Are they basically saying that we don't have a foundation in our own country? That we don't impact and influence every sector of this American corporation? That in any facet of society, no matter where you go, on all levels of existence, black Americans not only affect, but we are the cultural continuity that keeps America glued to some kind of soul. So when these Brits say we don't have culture, or what are they referring to? Because there's nothing substantial that could support that claim. But in the essence of these Africans or Caribbeans or whoever they are coming with disdain for black Americans while playing black Americans, the pushing flat blackness happens to be the biggest goal of YT Hollywood. What is there to gain by putting black people, black Americans, in the same bowl as every other melanated immigrant? Doesn't that sound familiar, family? Not only is it co-opting black American history, where you take a person like Harriet Tubman, who was a foundational black American, who is on the record for saying that we are rooted here in America and that she ain't going to no Africa. That's what Harriet Tubman said. And then you get a Nigerian to play her. Not only are they co-opting black American history by creating some kind of fusion history take a black American and putting an African face onto it, but flat blacking black American history, to me, I'm starting to smell something underneath it, family. I'm starting to smell something. I'm starting to see it. Why are these YT liberals, these Hollywood execs, going so hard on bringing Africans, Brits, here to play black American? Why? Are many of them Democrats? I find it very interesting that a lot of YT liberals who work in Hollywood, who are sanctioning this ethnic erasure, find it very, very interesting that many of these liberals are Democrats. And what is the primary goal of the Democrat? Isn't the primary goal of the DNC to push Pan-Africanism and flat blackness to put all black people in one bowl to create a new voting bloc. They want to put the Africans, they want to put the Caribbeans and Black Americans and fuse us all together to create a new voting bloc just so they can put themselves into position. Isn't that the primary goal of the DNC? Is to push flat blackness? Ain't that what Hollywood doing right now? With getting all of these other ethnic groups to come here and play Black Americans? That's another form of pushing flat blackness. I just find these two entities to coincide. And I'm smelling a lot of crony politics between YT liberals in Hollywood and YT liberals in the DNC. And it seems like somewhere on the table, there's a big mission or a big conspiracy to iron out the ethnic uniqueness of the Black American and fuse it with Caribbeans and Africans, and ultimately to wipe and erase us completely. They're doing it politically, they're doing it culturally and socially by projecting on screen to you and me Martin Luther King as an African, Harriet Tubman as an African, Fred Hampton as an African. Family, this is diabolical. So what do? We know it. We're not blind. We can see with our own two eyes what's going on. Drewski illustrated it so eloquently. Shout out to that brother for doing so. So we know what it is. We know that these people are getting, a lot of these Black Brits are getting rich off playing people playing people they despise. They're making millions and millions of dollars. Playing Black American is $1 million industry. We get it. But what do we do, family? How can we counter this? Because on Cotton Club Radio, I like to talk about solutions. I done edged out the problem, and I think I did it rather well. But how do we counter this onslaught of ethnic erasure? Because no matter how we see it, no matter how we try to counter it, we saw it coming. We created FBA. We delineated. We went in protection mode. We said we needed to protect our culture from culture vultures. We needed to say, hey, there's a boundary here. And we did that, family. But I tell you one thing. If there's another prominent Black American icon being played by an African, that movie is canceled. Do you understand me? We're not doing that no more. If there's another prominent Black American played by a Brit, that needs to be canceled. We ain't doing that no more. And what's that other cat name who does the Snowfall? I mean, were we sleepwalking when this happened? Because when you blink an eye, when you open and close your eye, family, it's another Black Brit playing a Black American. It's very weird. It's very strange. And they're playing us in very low tier roles. Like Snowfall. Like they couldn't get a Black American to play Freeway Rick. All the talent in Black America, all the young talent, one thing about Black Americans, we are incredibly talented. And you can't find a young Black teenager to play a young Freeway Rick on that Snowfall. So we know it's not about talent, it's about agenda. And the agenda is to erase you and me, family. And to create a flat blackness, ultimately, to do what? To make us one voting bloc. To put more YTs in power. To put more YT liberals in power. And that's what it's all about. They don't care about cultural or ethnic continuity or uniqueness. One black dude is just the same as another. And we're saying, hell no. No, it ain't. No, it's not. You're not going to sully my ancestors' reputation. You're not going to erase my ancestors. And you're not going to put all black people as one monolith. We're not doing that. Because when we think about it, family, what is ethnocide? Let's talk about that. Ethnocide is when you swap out one ethnicity for another. You take one group of people and you erase them. And then you replace them with a total new group of people. All the cultural continuity and everything that group of people had is co-opted, it's taken, it's extracted from those people while you lay those peoples to the dust of history. And you take all of that cultural continuity and you use it as your own. And you build your culture on that group of people's cultural continuity while that group of people cease to exist anymore. We're not doing that crap. We're not doing that, family. So it's on me and you to stand on FBA business, to make sure that we protect our ancestors' identity. We don't let people say, those are not FBAs, those are Africans. We don't let people say, those aren't FBAs, those are Caribbeans. We can say, you can take that and shove it somewhere in a dark place. And you know what I mean. Because we ain't having that. And for the Black Brits, I want to talk to you for a second. I get it. You're on the record saying Black Americans have no culture, saying Black Americans don't know where we are, where we're from, disrespecting Black American people. While at the same time, co-opting our culture, taking our culture for your own, taking our style of dress, our music, and now you want to play our cultural Black icons. To the Black Brits out there, shame on you. It's no secret that you don't like us. It's very clear. It's no secret that you're jealous of us. That's very clear. But I'm going to tell you one thing that you may not know about Black Americans. That's not in the script. When they give you a script and they say, all right, lights, camera, action, I want you to act Black American now. See, you don't really know much about us. Let me give you a little insight about Black Americans. One thing we don't like, one thing we don't tolerate is disrespect. You may find yourself without a job playing with us. Don't get excommunicated. Because the way I'm feeling, to keep it funky with you, family, I don't think another Black Brit should come over here and get a job, to be honest with you. Playing nothing. I'm going to keep it funky with you. Playing nobody. Not playing a drug dealer, not playing a Black American icon, not playing a shoe salesman. I don't care. Not playing a damn mechanic. They shouldn't get no roles. Kick rocks. Because if you can come over here and play Black Americans and make millions of dollars, I can't go to Britain and play a British dude and make millions of dollars. It's a one-way street. You benefit, I don't. That's the truth. And that's the relationship with a lot of these people. That's the relationship with these people. Where they come here and they get all the benefits of being Black American, playing Black American. And we can't do the same. There are no benefits in Britain for Black Americans. There are no positions that Black Americans can go play and make millions of dollars in Great Britain. It's a one-way street. They get everything, we get nothing. That's been the relationship between us and foreigners for too damn long. And I'm sick of it. Black Brits they're just one out of many. Where this constantly happens. Where people can just talk down and filthy about Black Americans. We're this, we're that, everything. But then when it's time to collect a paycheck, they the first ones on goddamn line. And I'm sick of it. And we need to shut that down, family. Because number one, they don't even do a good job. Can we keep it funky? Did you really think Cynthia Erivo did a good Harriet Tubman? Really? I didn't. Did you really think the dude who did the, what's his face? Martin Luther King. Did you ever look at the screen and think that was Martin Luther King? Did you ever feel the spirit of Martin Luther King in that film? Hell no. I didn't, family. I felt more of cultural continuity and more of a likeness when Jafar, Michael Jackson, nephew, played Michael Jackson. Because there was a bond there. There's a family line. There's a bloodline there. There's a certain level of respect that had to go into that. It was certain times when Jafar was playing Michael Jackson, if you looked at the side goddamn view, family, he looked like Michael Jackson. So when you have FBAs playing FBAs, it's a different reaction. It's a different tone. When you look at what Angela Bassett did when she played Tina Turner, it just made you feel for a few minutes that might be Tina Turner. She had her down pat. Lawrence Fishburne, when he played Ike, when he told Tina Turner, Annie Mae, that was her real name, when he told her to eat the cake when they was in the restaurant, and he said, "Eat the cake, Annie Mae, eat the cake." We all know the scene. You really felt like he was Ike Turner. It's just a cultural continuity that we have. Malcolm X, we can't forget the great Malcolm X. When Denzel Washington, and that's one of my favorite movies. It's just, you felt like, I'm gonna keep it funky with y'all, family. After I saw that movie, Malcolm X, every time I saw Denzel Washington, I saw Malcolm X. That's how much he played Malcolm X. It was like Malcolm X was in his soul after he played that role. And he couldn't let him go. He couldn't change it. He couldn't get out of that character. Even to this day, family. If you watch certain interviews of Denzel Washington, he sounds like that guy. That Denzel Washington in that movie, Malcolm X. When you have Black Americans playing Black Americans, there's a level of cultural continuity that a foreigner does not have. That you can't learn. That you can't embody. Do you understand me, family? That you can't get a script and have a white man say, "Okay, I want you to get into the spirit of this Black American. I want you to do this and do that." They didn't have to tell Malcolm. They didn't have to tell Denzel Washington that. So I want all of us to really, really, really start tuning in to these people with this co-opt energy, with this flat blackness energy, with this Pan-African energy. Because it's toxic, it's played out. It's played out, family. That is old news. It doesn't work in modern times. It doesn't benefit us in modern times. And it's just quite backwards in modern times. It don't even make sense. It don't make sense for us to have nowhere to go to make millions of dollars. But everybody else got somewhere to come here to make millions of dollars. And that's play a Black American. Play a Black American and make millions of dollars doing it. This whole industry, family, is $1 million industry playing you and me.
King. Look. Let your angel sing. I ain't twisted, this ain't the Henny talking for me. This is literally Malcolm Little talking through me. I ain't possessed, this is just when spirit meets the flesh. And a revolutionary is born, nothing less. It's hard for me to cope with stress. Especially when I see the world much different from the rest. I can't sleep, nightmares, waking up, cold sweat. Wondering if I ever made it, will they do me like the rest? For my black souls who really too upset to rest, so they wander through my dreams. Please tell me what this means.